You still got it. You still got it. Paul Heyman, man. Paul Heyman, last night's show, if you caught it, you caught Paul Heyman at his best. Just because you guys don't see Paul Heyman on weekly television anymore does not mean that he is not the mastermind behind everything you're seeing that involves the Bloodline from day one. He was written off TV a few months ago, powerbombed through the commentary table, but he has not let the foot off the gas pedal creatively behind the Bloodline saga. Some weeks absolutely redundant and downright boring. Other weeks you're like, oh, this is going to lead to something really cool. Last night was one of those moments when SmackDown went off the airwaves on the USA Network. Last night was one of those moments where you were like, here we go. Weeks before, War Games, Survivor Series. And it looks like the band is just about together. We're just missing, ironically, the wise man himself, Paul Heyman. He's the missing piece to this big puzzle. Once the wise man comes back, what a finish. Jimmy and Jay, middle of the ring, embracing in a monster hug. The twins, once again on the same page. Roman Reigns, top of the ramp, looking on like a conflicted cousin, right? But proud. Conflicted and unknown of the future with the three of them, right? How is Jay going to react to him now? But also proud to have those cousins that he grew up with, basically brothers to him, and twin brothers to one another, embracing and on the same page. So there's the unknown, the uncertainty, but there was that proud factor. But more than anything, if you saw that look in Roman's eyes, weeks away from War Games, he knows what needs to be done. It's time for the wise man to make it all make sense, to bring it all back to the fundamentals, to where it began, this Bloodline, and to finish off the bootleg Bloodline in just a few weeks, War Games. That look, like, all right, it's starting to make sense. So Roman was looking on like this diabolical cousin that kind of ravaged the family for a while, but more so like an estranged father he was looking on, right? Like looking at his kids and going, I have to correct the wrongs that I have bestowed upon my family. Oh, man, the story that Paul Heyman told last night. We'll talk about it. This is the SmackDown 10/25/24 review, amplified style. Of course, your host, BC. So we're going to do it all. This is just a cold open teaser, just going over some of the stuff we're going to talk about on last night's show. Over to the other Paul Levesque. His booking, as always, all over the place. There was some stuff I really liked, like the whole gorilla position, arguing with Randy Orton, Randy calling him out, because you're rushing Owens and Randy. That's what you're doing on just a couple weeks' notice. Just like you're rushing Gunther and Cody, champion versus champion, Gunther, Cody. That should have been a few months, bare minimum, of a feud and a real storyline. But they're rushing it to Crown Jewel with this big, goofy toy championship on the line. So a lot of these matches are being rushed. But if you can add an authority figure in there, things just got a lot more interesting. And I just love the shots of gorilla position involved with Hunter Hearst Helmsley. So that was some of the good stuff. And then you got to talk the ladies. Hunter still absolutely has hit a wall, and that is being generous. Has hit a wall creatively with the females. It's almost to the point where, is he even trying? You're not going to believe the tag title situation that unfolded last night for the ladies. And on the flip side, and there was a singles match as well that ended with Naomi between the legs of Bayley. It sounds, we'll talk about it. But on the flip side, if we're talking about tag titles for the dudes, the main event was a number one contenders match. It ended with new tag team champions, a team that has only had a couple 2-tree matches in WWE. We're going to go over it all, man. Some people love the idea. Some people are like, that's not it. That's it. What else do they have to fight for? They already won. Check you. We can go to AEW now. Already got the ultimate. We reached the summit, right? We got the ultimate goal. Some people love the decision, some people didn't. BC's going to tell you what it does. See, that's why I love my own review show, because we just don't talk about our opinions. We talk about, was this the right decision? What does this do for everybody? We're going to talk about it. SmackDown. It went head-to-head with my New York Yankees versus the LA Dodgers, Game 1 of the World Series. But at least WWE didn't curl up in a ball and cry about it. They fought back. We talk all about it. This is the review for SmackDown 10/25/24 Amplified. And we do it right now. Swig of coffee. You guys are getting taken to the opening signature. Come right on back. I tried to keep that cold open teaser to about 5 minutes and under. I think I went like 40 some odd seconds over, something like that, man. I tried, man. There was a lot of stuff in there, man. I know it's a teaser, but some of these things I can't help but kind of expand upon a little bit. I mean, if you saw the finish to the show, there was so much to digest. So we're going to go over that for sure. LA Knight last night, man. He was the most hilarious guest referee. For the first couple minutes, anyway. We'll talk about that. Game 7 for Andrade and Melo. Man, the women. I feel so bad. There's so many great talents in this company. And they have nothing for them. And it's almost like they know the positions they're putting these ladies in is not going to do anything for them. If anything, it's going to make them look more goofy. But they're like, screw it. I don't have the time to really fix this right now. It's almost like that's Hunter's mentality. And it's so odd because that was one of his strong suits in NXT Black and Gold, the ladies. But last night, it's a running, consistent theme. And Hunter Hearst Helmsley's WWE, the ladies are easily second fiddle. That's being generous. They're forgotten about a lot of weeks. A lot of weeks they have one match, 2 minutes maybe. And the booking could not be absolutely any more horrendous than it is. We'll go over all of that. But again, there was some good stuff at the jump of this show. That's what we're going to go over right now. Props to my Yankees, by the way. We battled yesterday with no offense, basically. Garrett Cole gave us nearly 7 good innings. Bullpen did pretty damn good, I felt, until the very end where we put in Nestor Cortez instead of Timmy. I don't understand that. Timmy's a reliever. Nestor has not actually played a game in months. So why would you put him in? And of course, he gave up the grand slam that cost us the game in the 10th inning. Dodgers beat the Yankees. So we're down a game. That's not how you want to start the series. It's not looking good, but much love to my Yankees. We'll try again tonight. We have to even this up before we go back to New York. Also, a big shout out to Rob Reverne, a cup of coffees. And the last upload we put up, was that yesterday or the day before? I think that was the live stream, actually. But after we were live, in the comments, a super thanks, super chat from Rob Reverne. A couple coffees, actually. I was actually in line at a Paris baguette coffee shop, and I got a couple green bubbles pop up, and it was Rob Reverne. Chuck it. So basically, the coffees were on the house. Rob, I appreciate it, man. Never needed, always appreciate it. Always good seeing you up in here. Love the support. Thank you, dude. Rob Reverne. And that's that, man. Let's get into it. Swig of coffee, speaking of, and then we'll get into Randy Orton calling out Hunter Hearst Helmsley. I just love how this was done. This is something that should have been done a long time beforehand with Vincent Kennedy McMahon, and Vince just never wanted to smoke. So Randy Orton's coming through, right? Everybody's showing up to the arena like we always start these damn shows, right? Everybody's showing up to work with a coffee and a smile and their luggage. Okay, they're showing up to work. Great. So Randy's coming with, I love the shot, by the way, of the Crown Jewel Championship coming in a casket again. Second show in a row. It's so fitting, isn't it? Because that's where it should stay, buried. So they have two dudes coming in with the like Paul bearers, and they're bringing in this big casket with the championship. I can't help it. Every time I see them bring that in, man, that's not a title case holder. That's a casket for that thing. That's exactly where it should be. So Randy Orton's coming in, showing up to work, and he gets the lucky steady cam shot, right? That's the one where you're gonna now walk through the corridor. You're actually gonna go into Gorilla, go through the curtain, and we're gonna follow you the whole way. You know, every single week there's that one wrestler that gets to do that. Randy is this week's SmackDown steady cam shot, and he's going through Gorilla, and he stops and he goes, "Hold on." And he goes over to Hunter Hearst Helmsley, who's in seat A at the actual control table. And that's where Vincent Kennedy McMahon and Hunter sat for years together. Sometimes Bruce Pritchard, Laurinaitis, Michael P.S. Hayes. A lot of people intertwine on the third seat when there is a third. But that was Vince's seat, now Hunter's. And he goes over and he's having like a little bit of an argument. And Hunter's like, "No, not now. Go. Randy, go." He's like talking to him like he's his kid, like a child. "Go, Randy, go." So Randy finally, all right. So Randy goes to the ring and he calls out Hunter Hearst Helmsley anyway, calls out Triple H. And I love how they go back to Gorilla. The music plays. Hunter's music plays, Triple H. And they actually have a shot of Triple H, not amused. He's not happy. He takes his reading glasses off at Gorilla. He gets up from Gorilla and he starts to make his way to the curtain. Guys, it's simplistic, I know. BC, you're not going to go 2 minutes about this, are you? Yes, I am. I have been clamoring for things like, it's the simplistic things that sometimes are the best. We should have had segments like this with Vincent Kennedy for years, man. We all know that you are the dude behind the curtain, right? You're the actual wizard in Oz. We all know that. So just have some arguments or have some things happen at Gorilla with the head of authority, Vince McMahon. Vince never wanted that. Never wanted that type of attention. Never wanted the smoke. Never wanted the cameras even to be in Gorilla. So you're just going to go by real quick and that's it. But with Hunter, they made it a part of the show, which it should be. You know, they sell all these little toys in Target, right? And they actually have the ring, and they have steel cages, and now they have commentary tables as the toys. Well, now you can add Gorilla position, right? If I'm Hasbro and all that, I'm making like Gorilla an actual ramp. Because Gorilla is a part of the show now. It just is. So utilize it in every facet. So Hunter had that argument with Randy, then Randy's calling him out. They have a camera shot of Hunter trying to run the show, but instead he's got to deal with this dude. So he goes out to the ring. I just love all of those shots of Gorilla. Goes out to the ring. Orton wants Hunter to admit that he's trying to protect Kevin Owens. That's why he won't give him a match with Owens. Helmsley says, and I quote, "No, Randy, I'm trying to protect you." Orton says, "I didn't ask for Paul Levesque. I didn't ask for a COO of a multi-billion-dollar company. I didn't ask for a guy in a suit. I asked for Triple H, the cerebral assassin, the guy who wore a leather jacket to the ring and carried a sledgehammer everywhere he went. I asked for that guy." I thought that was well delivered by Orton, by the way. Helmsley gives Orton a match with Owens at Crown Jewel, but he says, "All right, from here on out, you better just watch out. You are, what's the best way to put it? Paraphrasing, obviously, but you are in control of your own self. It's not on me. It's not on WWE, right? You're liable for what you just asked for, Kevin Owens." In other words, Kevin Owens is a little bit unhinged right now. So if Owens takes you out, that's not on us. Right? So he's trying to protect WWE. So I thought it all made sense beautifully. More so, guys, I got to give Hunter credit here because this was obviously a last-minute addition to Crown Jewel, or whenever this has happened. I think it's Crown Jewel, correct? Whenever this happens, it's rushed. We all know that. I mean, they're playing the side chicks to Cody Rhodes for months, and then all of a sudden, Randy tries to stop Owens from attacking Cody last week. And Owens, or 2 weeks ago, and then Owens inadvertently hits Randy, and Randy gets pissed, so he hits Owens, and now all of a sudden that's a feud. And all of a sudden we already have a match a week later. So this is rushed. So because they just started the feud literally 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago they started this, and we're already getting the match. Helmsley, including himself, is the only way you could actually build any real suspense here, or anticipation, or excitement for this, if there's going to be any. Because when you add an authority figure, right, when authority is involved, there's always heightened interest. In pro wrestling, we have seen that over the years, over the decades. When you add authority figures, there's all of a sudden this, maybe I got to put the remote down here. I got to see how this, right? Because people kind of, even if it's subconsciously, even if it's secondary, they kind of put themselves in their shoes. Like if I'm in Randy's position and I have this authority figure and I don't feel I'm being treated the right way, or I feel like I deserve something and I'm not getting it, how would I react? It's what made Stone Cold and Vince McMahon storyline so epic. People were living vicariously through Stephen Austin. So when there's authority, man, there's this heightened interest. When Eric Bischoff flipped from WCW to NWO, we all know he was the boss. So we were like, whoa, this just turned to a whole nother level. So Helmsley including himself was the only way to get people to really go, all right, Randy versus KO is a thing. So I'm not a fan of it being rushed, but at least Hunter went all out, including himself, because you could save something like that. And some would say it should be saved for a long-term feud with authority, with Hunter and somebody else to build them. Clearly, KO and Randy doesn't need to be built. Clearly, this is not going to be a long-term thing. This is a rushed matchup. So you could say that and you'd be accurate. You could have saved something like this involving Hunter as the authority. You could have saved that for something much grander that's going to lead to much better. But, I mean, KO and Randy needed something big. This was it. So well played, Hunter Helmsley. Well played indeed. I'm giving him credit there, man. I'm absolutely giving him credit. This first segment, it did what it needed to build KO and Randy. Now, here's my thing on this. Number one, I still don't trust Randy Orton is with Cody. I still believe there's something with KO and Owens. I just do, bro. That's number one. I'm just going to leave it at that. I think actually Randy came out to save Cody a little bit later in the show, so I'll elaborate on my suspicion of that. But number two, they still have to do more, right? This is a good start. You still have one SmackDown left, the go-home show before Crown Jewel next Friday. There, you have to put this to the next level. But if Randy is in cahoots with KO against Cody, how much farther then? You can't really have too much physicality. Interesting, man. You could go either way. You're at like a crossroads. No pun intended to Cody. But you're at a crossroads with this story. Randy could go this way, and it could be really epic if he aligns himself with KO, or you can go this way, have a rushed match, and then what do you do afterwards? So that was the first segment, man. BC was absolutely on board with it. It was exactly what needed to happen if you're going to rush a match. So you're trying to correct a wrong. Normally that doesn't happen, right? And you make it even worse, right? Two wrongs don't make a right, but usually in trying to correct the first wrong, Hunter somehow makes it worse. This time, it was the only play that could have been made, and it was made. So, salute. First segment, it landed for BC. A lot of cool stuff. I love involving gorilla position. Then you went into the first matchup of the night. This was Andrade versus Melo in what they were calling Game 7. BC just called it a match I've seen 7 flipping times. I've seen it 7 times in the past couple months. Sure enough, you could sit back and say this was a good match. I'm not going to argue that fact, but it's a redundant match. Everything they were doing, even sequences last night, were sequences I've seen in the first 6. That's what I mean about redundancy, man. This is prime time on a Friday night. It's the same 2 individuals. I said that a while back. Remember they had 7 matches with, who was it, Sheamus and Cesaro? I think it was like 7 matches, right? Because they had no creative. They're just like, hey, what if for the next 2 months you guys just wrestle? Wrestle, fight. And then boom, that's it. That's your creative for Cesaro. That's your creative for Sheamus. We're good. That's what they did with Andrade and Melo. But for this one, LA Knight was your special referee. The first few minutes was hilarious, right? Knight was reffing with the referee's shirt, but over it was his brown leather vest, so that looked goofy in its own right. But he was also wearing his U.S. Championship title while he was refereeing. That was so awesome, man. You just see a referee, the vest is over it. Maybe Stone Cold would do that back in the day. But the title, he's wearing it as he's reffing. I mean, you can't really get down and really count with that title belt. But LA Knight was doing it. I loved it. The match ends with Knight delivering a BFT to both Andrade. I think he gave Andrade, right? One of them definitely got it. I think I blinked or I was checking something for the game because on the bigger screen I had my Yankees and Dodgers game on. Obviously, World Series. But I blinked or I was watching something over there. I don't know. Maybe I was correcting something on my notes. But I think it was Andrade was down and then Melo or vice versa. But I think they both collected a BFT, and that was the match. That was it. The referee took them both out, and then LA Knight got on the commentary table, and he says, and I quote, "All I see in that ring is a couple of losers. So there's only one winner of this U.S. championship, and it's LA Knight." Yeah. But BC was going, LA Knight, what? Because I was confused. I was like, wait, man, 7 matches, and that's the finish? LA Knight just takes them out? But we wouldn't have to wait long for it to make sense, right? And they did a good job. Backstage, LA Knight comes across Nick Aldis. And Nick Aldis is pissed off, obviously. What are you doing, man? That was my big Game 7 finish. You just ruined that. And LA Knight was like sincere. He was like, you and I know, neither one of them deserve a shot at my title. Neither one of them are in my league. Come on, man. I did exactly what you would do. Things like that he was telling Nick Aldis. And Aldis is like, well, what you just did is you got yourself a triple threat now. Again, I think this is Crown Jewel. Back in the day, this would never be a thing, right? If we were building a match like this, it would be at the PLE, pay-per-view. But these days, Hunter Hearst Helmsley only does like 5 matches on a PLE, so every title match basically has to be on a SmackDown or a Raw. So half the time, I never know when these matches are being actually booked. I'll say Crown Jewel. But a triple threat was made. We all knew that's what was going to happen anyway. So after this little Nick Aldis, LA Knight backstage run-in, it did make a lot more sense. I thought it was well played. You protected Andrade, you protected Melo. After 7 matchups, you don't really know who's better than the other, and that's what needed to happen. Andrade cannot be overshadowed by Melo right now. He needs consistent, firm, good booking. Vice versa, Melo cannot be overshadowed by the booking of Andrade. So this was an out, and it leads to a title match, which I'm not for the triple threat, but Hunter wants it because he likes more people the better. You can fill up a lot of spots, and he's got a lot of people on his roster, and he doesn't know what to do with them, and he doesn't want to spend an ounce of creativity on them, so let's just stuff them in multi-person schmaz matches. Wait till you hear what they did with the ladies in a little bit. So let's add a third part, right? Another match with a title on the line, and there's more than just 2 people involved. So we know that's what Hunter was going with. At least try to protect your talents in the process. Find a way to get there that we can be on board with. This makes sense. LA Knight's pissed off. He doesn't feel like either one of them are in his league, and he took them both out. Andrade and Melo get protected, and Hunter gets what he wants, his triple threat. Guys, it's not the creative I would go with, but if that's your end goal, I think it was actually done well. So back-to-back segments that Hunter Hearst Helmsley kind of got himself out of a corner that he backed himself into. So I got to give salutes to Hunter for finding ways to not just getting out of the corner and trying to correct some of those wrongs, but to do it in a, for the most part, entertaining way. Salute. But then I got to take some of that credit right back. You knew it was coming, man, because the ladies are up next, and Hunter is just not good with the women as of late. Hasn't been since he's taken over the main roster. Naomi defeats Candice LeRae via pinfall. Indi Hartwell interference. Bayley causes the winning distraction. At first from behind, by the way, Bayley looked like Tamina Snuka, didn't she? If you guys check out Bayley, like there was a shot from behind, it just looked like Tamina. And of course, we know there's history with Tamina and Naomi. So I'm looking at the game. My Yankees, I switch over. I'm like, Tamina's back? It was Bayley. But once again, the momentum completely stalls out with the ladies here. That segment ended with Bayley and Naomi talking trash to Candice LeRae and Indi, the heels, from the ring. Bayley's up on the second rope, like talking trash. Naomi goes under her legs and just starts yelling. Yeah, come on. What now? What's good? Now, we love Naomi on this channel. When she got that championship, her first of the two, we were calling for that, man. I like to think that we helped that movement really kick into high gear. Naomi, she's just one of the most talented professional wrestlers on the planet for ladies. I truly feel that way. Her skill is unmatched in many areas. She's one of, if not the most athletic and athletically gifted female wrestlers on the planet. But the microphone has never been her strong suit. We know that. Talking trash has never been her strong suit. And to watch her underneath the legs or in between the legs of Bayley and just talking, I'm like, what are we doing, guys? It's just, whoa, what do you want to talk about? A tag match between Indi, Candice, and Bayley and Naomi? Like, what is Hunter doing? Last week, he had Candice LeRae actually pin... Who'd she pin? Candice LeRae. Was it Naomi or Bayley? I think it was Bayley. And I know a lot of fans are like, well, Bayley wanted that BC. All right, people in hell want ice water. You can't always get what you want. And you shouldn't. You can't possibly take... Bayley cannot... Right, if Bayley goes to Hunter and says, I want to put Candice over, she hasn't been on TV in a few months, Hunter has to say, no. Thank you, that's cute. We'll give her good booking, or we'll at least start to do that. But you can't do this. And now we're in this weird thing, Naomi and Bayley yelling at Indi and Candice. Is this honestly supposed to get fans to go, oh, Candice and Indi? Because I've always been high on Indi Hartwell. You guys know that. This ain't it, man. And Naomi and Bayley, this is like such, it's below mid booking. Like this isn't even, nothing happened, right? Naomi pins Candice, they talk some trash, and we go backstage to like Nick Aldis. Levesque has lost his way with the women's division. This was once one of his strong suits in black and gold NXT. And now he could not book the women's division out of a paper bag. Sadly. Sadly, that's where we're at with the women's division. It pains me to say that because there's so much talent in this division. But that's only the half of it, man. Wait till you hear what happened. Should we do it now, actually? No, let's start the top of the hour. This was Cody and Gunther. We'll go over that first, and then I'll tell you guys how the women's division's booking last night got even worse somehow. I got to get a swig of coffee just thinking about it, and then we'll go Cody Gunther, top of hour 2. So Cody and Gunther face-to-face. This is what Cody asked for last week. And, you know, the Monday Night Raw before that, less than 2 weeks ago, they already had their face-to-face. They said everything they had to say, and it ended with mutual respect, remember? They either shook hands or I think they shook hands. Well, they exchanged pleasantries, and then Gunther walked off. That's it. And then on Friday last week, Cody's like, or Monday, maybe it was, I'm inviting Gunther to SmackDown so we can talk. You just did that. So here we are. Again, these two, face-to-face, a week before Crown Jewel. The goofiest title you'll ever see is situated behind them on a pedestal. It's a toy title. It's called the Crown Jewel Championship. It's a giant toy, right? It's the size of... If you guys ever look on a map, right, check out Houston, Texas, right? That huge town/city called Houston. The title is the size of Houston, basically. That's a good analogy, right? Maybe a slight exaggeration, but not that much of one. It's the size of Houston, Texas. All right, it's that goofy, man. There's no way somebody is actually going to hold that up or put it on their shoulder or try to put it on around their waist, right? They would look so tiny. Gunther would look like a micro machine if he tries to put that championship on. Cody Rhodes would look like an ant. Put away your fucking magnifying glasses. You might roast Cody Rhodes if he puts that title on. It's a toy. That's situated behind them. So you guys see the ultimate prize that they're contesting over, right? It is ridiculous how big they made this title. It's just ridiculous. It's a toy. But they want it. They want to fight. They're not even looking at it. I think they know what a joke it is. They're doing their best not to even look at that thing, guys. The whole promo. So Gunther says exactly what he said 2 weeks ago to Cody. Let's find out who the better champion is at Crown Jewel. Right? I don't know what accent that was, but that's what he is telling Cody. Let's find out who the better... You just... Obviously, Gunther, that's what this is all about, right? Who's the best champion? Hunter already said that. 2 promos now. Gunther stating the obvious. Let's find out at Crown Jewel who the better man is. Yes, what a storyline. It's like Kevin Owens and Cody. Let's find out how our friendship would do in a match. We'll shake hands. So Gunther says exactly what he said 2 weeks ago. Let's find out who the better champion is at Crown Jewel. And BC's just thinking, that's how this works, Gunther. Yes, that's what we're going to do. Cody then tells Gunther. Cody says to Gunther, Gunther, you look the part. This was actually a good part of this promo. He tells Gunther he looks the part of a champion, but he fails at the responsibility of being a champion. He says he does all the media calls while Gunther can't even be bothered to get out of bed in the morning. To which Gunther had a great response. Gunther says, you don't think I get the same media requests that you get? He says the difference is I say no because I have the guts to say no. To my boss, to the media, to you, I have the guts to say no. Cody responds saying, well, I got the guts to take the first shot, and takes out Gunther with a few bows, or tries to take Gunther out. He throws some bows over to Gunther. Ludwig Kaiser jumps in the ring. It's a 2-on-1. Cody gets beat down. Randy Orton for the save, but the heels retreat. And that's the segment. Cody is saying thank you to Randy. Again, I will say, so the promo actually did get good, much better than 2 weeks ago on, what was that, Monday Night Raw? Much better. It didn't end in mutual respect, and that was one of the 2 things I'll say here, man. Number 1 is I was just thinking this Gunther-Cody match, this promo better not end in mutual respect. The match next week at Crown Jewel better not end in mutual respect. That's all I'm thinking right now. Do not shake Cody's hand afterwards. Cody should not be extending his hand to Gunther after this match next week, like Randy and Gunther did in Berlin. So that was the first thing. Number 1, no mutual respect. I'm glad there was none last night, and there better not be next Saturday. Number 2, I'm going to state exactly what I stated about 10 minutes ago, 15, whatever it was. I still don't trust Randy Orton. I don't. I don't. I just feel like there's something in it. He's in cahoots with KO, or he's got his own turn in the works. But something with Randy, it's not adding up. He's fighting so hard to protect Cody Rhodes. That's not Randy Orton. There's got to be more to this. So, I have no problem with this face-to-face. At least it was better than the one they previously had. And then we went backstage to General Manager Nick Aldis' office, where Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair are there with their tag titles and half of the women's locker room. Oh, we got to talk about this. So Nick Aldis is there. Adam Pearce is also there from Monday Night Raw, the general manager, and Ava from NXT, their general man. All the general managers are there with the 2 tag title holders, Jade and Bianca. So you have 5 women in one shot. And then you had another 6 to the left of them. Lash Legend, Jackson, both from NXT's Metaphor. You had Piper Niven and Chelsea Green. You had, from SmackDown, you had Damage Control from Monday Night Raw, all 6 ladies. And it's announced from the general managers that there's going to be an 8-women, 4-team title match at Crown Jewel. So the tag title match is going to just feature everybody. Everybody. We're not going to get creative with this because everybody has just been having random matches the last several weeks anyway. What if we just put them all into one match? That's what you do all the time, Hunter. That's what WWE does. They don't give us consistent good storytelling with most of the talents. So they just put a bunch of talents together in a multi-person schmaz match. Just saw it again with the IC Championship. And you just saw it tenfold with the ladies yet again. And they put all 8 women... First of all, just watching this segment, I felt so bad. It's embarrassing. It's almost like you don't even want to be booked. Like when you show up to work and you see that you're going to be in a 60-second backstage segment with 86 other ladies, you're already thinking how bad this is going to make you look, right? And sure enough, I mean, they're smushing all 11 of these people together. These 10 ladies, whatever it is, right? You have the 8 women for the championship, and you have Ava, so 9, and then a couple of other generals, so 11 people. You're smushing them all into this camera shot in this small room. Damage Control is like trying to get camera. Chelsea and Piper are like in the background. They're just, is my face even in the shot? It was so embarrassing. You literally feel bad for them. It's almost like you would rather just keep me at catering or tell me to just stay home. I got nothing for you. Because they just look so damn goofy, man. It's embarrassing booking. The only thing you can ask Hunter Hearst Helmsley is literally stop being lazy, Hunter. Stop it. Pick a team and create a fun story. Right? That's some good advice. Pick a damn team, call them #1 contenders, and create a fun story. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do weeks of random matches just because you have so many females and you're trying to find a spot for them. But a spot of below average booking is basically no booking at all because you're only being a detriment to them. So that would be the advice. Like, pick a team and create something fun for your audience and something that is going to be beneficial to your talent, not a detriment. Because this, if we're being honest, which we always are on this channel, this does nothing for any of these ladies. And those are facts. Those are facts. You know it. This does nothing for those ladies. They're going to have this rushed, weird matchup next Saturday in Saudi. And who, when it's all said and done, who's going, man, did you see Piper Niven and Chelsea? Man, Damage Control, man, their booking has really been saved thanks to this Fatal 4-Way. Or Jade and Bianca's title reign has been amazing. Did you see the Fatal 4-Way at Crown Jewel? With Lash Legend and Jackson? These are facts, man. And if you like the segment or you like the idea, much love and respect. That's not what we're even talking. We're talking about, is this good booking? It's not. You may have loved this segment, this weird 60 seconds. You may love the idea of 4 teams, once again, going for 2 titles. 8 ladies going for 2 titles. You may love the idea. Much respect. It doesn't make it good. And factually, we know that. Because factually, we know this is detrimental booking, not beneficial booking. This is absolutely garbage, but I'll leave it at that, man. I could go another probably 10 minutes on just how asinine this booking is. It's garbage. There's no place for it. Hunter used to be really good at, and I understand, I always tell you guys, in NXT, he had masterminds with him. Actual masterminds like Dusty Rhodes, right? William Regal was working close with him. There's so many people around Hunter. He just had to give like final approvals. And just play like the dad figure, right? Give him good hoorah speeches. Talk to him like he's Papa H. So I understand, but I still felt like Hunter was a good pivotal part of that women's division. I don't know what happened on the main roster. It's like he doesn't even care about it. Or that, or he just has completely lost his way. Because this ain't it. We go into the main eve. Oh, by the way, real quick. It gets a little even worse. Next week, there's a Fatal 4-Way. 1 participant of each team is going to face each other in a nonsensical Fatal 4-Way preview match next week. It's being promoted just to show you what's in store at Crown Jewel between the 8 ladies. So 1 of each team will face each other in a Fatal 4-Way for no reason next week. That's this booking, man. H is cooking. Main event, DIY versus MCMG. Referee Jessica Carr had the call. Gargano super kicks Tommaso inadvertently. A fruity roll-up followed subsequently on Gargano. Moments later, DIY was defeated. Motor City took this W. And before I keep going, that's something in its own right. You can start talking about like Tommaso and Johnny breaking up. Some people are talking, what if they just stay together but they turn heel? How did we even get here, man? How did Tommaso and Johnny many months ago come together as a team and do absolutely nothing? They won the tag titles on like a Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown, one of the two shows. They won the titles in the middle of a show and lost them like a couple days later, maybe a few weeks later, tops. But what was it, 28 days maybe? It was something really short. Anyway, they won it on a SmackDown or a Raw, and then they lost it in the same fashion. And that was really it. Nobody remembers the title reign. I don't blame anybody for not remembering it. They basically just sat in catering or told to stay home, we have nothing for you. And to watch them lose against this new team, who I know is so damn good, I get it. And they got to be booked correctly, I get it. But how are they already overshadowing DIY? I mean, these are two really good wrestlers, Tommaso and Johnny. So I don't understand what's happening with them. And even if you turn them on one another or you turn them heels, does Hunter actually have a plan? Because without that, then you're just changing their character a little bit and people are still not going to care. It's like turning Big Show face and heel 88 times, which is what they did. Or Kane, or Nia Jax, or Charlie Flair. They would turn them face and heel 1,000 times and nobody cares. Miz has been a face 86 times and a heel 89 times. Steiner math doesn't add up, but you get the point. Just turning somebody or tweaking their character if you don't have a plan does nothing. If anything, it hurts them in the long run. So I don't... DIY's booking is just absolutely mind-boggling to BC. But huge victory for Motor City. Now this is where it gets really weird, right? So Bloodline comes out. And you have Motor City saying, you know, we'll win the championships anywhere, anytime. Solo Sikoa says, well, right now is a good time. Solo puts those tag titles on the line for the Bloodline's Guerillas of Destiny. Now you have a lot of interference here. I think Solo went to interfere. I think it was Jimmy Uso came down. Jimmy tried to take him out. Jacob Fatu was down there, so Fatu's involved. Jey Uso, former IC title holder. He jumps the barricade in a black hoodie, and he's got the mask or whatever on. So he's all, you know, the Usos always do that spot. Jump the barricade, all in black. They didn't even try to sell it on who it is. They immediately, the commentators, Michael Cole was and Corey Graves, they're like, oh, you look at the eyes. That's main event Jey Uso. So it's like, all right, well, I mean, some people may not have known if the super kicks didn't give it away. He super kicks Jacob Fatu. He gets in the ring. He super kicks Guerillas of Destiny. And moments later, Motor City Machine Guns are winning the tag team championships in just their, what, second or third match? Something like that. Third, maybe. Second week, but because of the DIY match, I guess you would call this 3. So in just their third match, really second appearance, is that fair to say? They're already champions of the world. So what started out as a #1 contenders match ended up 20 minutes later with new tag team champions, Motor City. And we'll get to what happened after that. That wasn't the actual finish, but I do want to give you some thoughts on this. Obviously, because that's what we do on the channel. On one hand, I love the idea, right? This is the type of... I always preach about how I can't stand how all of the titles these days, they seem to change hands on random Raws and SmackDowns. Try to pop a rating, right? Show that anything can happen on the show. But guys, what it does is it devalues and it dilutes and it diminishes the prestige of a championship. I mean, watching Breaker win a title, the IC title on a Raw, and then Jey Uso wins it from him on a Raw, and then it gives it back to Braun Breaker on a Raw. At some point, I mean, don't you want to put your IC and your US on the PLEs? The tag titles are always defended either the Friday Night SmackDown before the PLE or the Monday Night Raw after. Can't you just put the championships where they belong on the PLE so the fans have a chance to look at them as prestigious? Too many title matches on these shows and too many titles changing hands on Raw and SmackDown. But sometimes, man, sometimes it just, I mean, there's a lot of benefits that can come from it. I totally see how this could be a launching pad for Motor City. I'm not always a fan of the new guys coming in and instantly winning titles. But I can see, if done correctly is the key words, I can absolutely see this being a rocket for them. Again, it's been a non-existent tag division because Hunter is just as lost with the tag division as he is with the women's division. But maybe this is the spark that division needed. I felt it last night, but sometimes you need that spark to turn into actual pyro. But most of the time, the spark fizzles out. We hope that this momentum that was created last night in the division for this tag team, man, we hope it doesn't fizzle out. I can see the positives from this. This was a bold move. If at nothing else, it was entertaining, and that's the most important thing. Now, on the flip side, if you could not stand this decision, I hear you too. This is some bold booking, as I just said. Sometimes that's really good, sometimes not so much. Again, we have to let this actually play out. This is one of those things that BC will admit you have to let play out. You have to give Hunter the benefit of the doubt, whether you like to or not, whether he's burned those bridges too many times or not. We have to see, man, because Motor City has some good talents. This could be what they need. Like, they just got that stroke of luck mixed with the immense talent that they have. This could make people go, wait, we have to look over here. They may not be the biggest of dudes. We may not know much about them. But they're causing a stir, man. Old school Nature Boy, what's causing all of this? Motor City, that's who. But I totally understand if you're like, what is this? Wait, what did that do for Guerillas of Destiny, man? Their title reign has been so damn odd. But can't you say that about most title reigns in WWE under Hunter Hearst Helmsley? Pretty much. You know, sometimes you have long reigns, right? He kept Roman's long reign. He kept Gunther going. But those moments and those memories and those matchups, there's not many. So the title reigns kind of the waters get muddied. Guerillas of Destiny, they didn't have a real tag title reign. We know that. They absolutely hot-shotted those right over to Motor City the second basically they got there. I don't know if that's going to pan out to be good. I could totally see why a lot of people are like, that was absolutely stupid. Or if that happened in AEW, we'd be ripping that apart because it's the E and because it's H. We're just going to say this was glorious and the right thing to do. I totally understand. I see a lot of negative that can absolutely come from this decision. I have to, as an honorable reviewer, man, as a real reviewer in this community, someone who actually critiques it with a keen eye and dissects it in the most honest of ways, BC would not be doing you guys justice if I did not let this situation play out. This could become really good, and this decision will go on to be one of the best that Hunter's made, or it's going to be another notch in the belt of the bad booking that Hunter has done. Let me see another week or two. I have to see, because that was bold, but it was entertaining because of what it led into, right? So much happened in that last 10 minutes because that wasn't it. They worked up, man, all the pyro, by the way, that they've been saving up for the last several months of no pyro, basically. They let it all go for Motor City. So HHH is really high on these machine guns, on these Motor City machine. I can't believe they let them keep their name still, bro. Every time I hear their names individually and collectively as Motor City, I can't believe they were able to keep their names. Right? If that was Vince McMahon, again, they'd be the Motor City Super Soakers. But and then the actual finish of the show happened. This was so well done. Jey Uso's middle of the ring. Jimmy comes down slowly, trying to like feel out Jay, right? Are we good? Am I going to get a super kick? Jimmy gets in the ring and he sees that look in his twin brother's eyes. He knows, and he goes right for a giant hug. And Jay looks like a dude that's been waiting for that for the longest of times. They embrace in a monster hug, and in the distance, in the yonder, you see Roman Reigns at the top of the ramp looking on. Several different things going on in the dome piece, right? One, he's conflicted, right? What does this mean for the future of all three of us? Secondly, so glad to see my cousins back together, twin brothers. That's what I grew up with. Deep down, I didn't like them actually separated, and that I had a part in it. And then the third look that was in those eyes is just like, now I know, man, we have to correct this wrong. We have to get rid of this bootleg bloodline. And you know what looms. War Games, Survivor Series, just weeks away. And it's almost like Roman is now getting the empire resurrected. Roman's empire is being rebuilt, but it needs a wise man. And that's the next piece of the puzzle. Before you talk Sami Zayn or any of that, or maybe it's Paul that brings him in storyline-wise, but it's missing Paul Heyman now. And then this is on. War Games, man. It's being set up really well by Helmsley. And again, the Bloodline saga itself being overseen by Paul Heyman. I think that's the right thing to do. And I'm glad Hunter is letting Paul Heyman delegate that. So now the question is, does Paul stay with Roman in that side, the now faces? Or does Paul Heyman do the ultimate turn? Even though he got powerbombed by the bootleg Bloodline, does he join forces with Solo's group? The only reason I bring that up is because they need Paul Heyman more than Roman and the Usos, right? I mean, once Roman's team defeats Solo and his clique at War Games, which has to happen, there's no way Roman and them can lose, where does Solo and the Guerillas of Destiny and Jacob Fatu, where do they go from there? People already look at them as a distant, a way back version of the original, right? They're nowhere in the same league of the Roman, Uso, Sami Zayn bloodline. So they already don't take them seriously enough. And once they lose at War Games, what happens to Solo at that point? Guerillas of Destiny are just the side chicks that just get beat up all the time. They just lost their titles on SmackDown, right? Not even out of PLE. They get beat up all the time in Solo's stories and feuds. I see the same happening when Jacob Fatu finally gets a little bit of that rocket, and Guerillas of Destiny will be the henchmen to always get beat up in his storylines. So they need something massive here, and there's no way they can win at War Games. But does Paul Heyman align himself with them leading into it? And then Paul Heyman sides with Jacob Fatu. Because I don't see Paul Heyman and Solo. It's going to, no offense to Solo, honestly. And I say this with much respect. Paul Heyman with Solo isn't going to work, man. And Paul Heyman cannot be used with somebody like, it's got to be somebody big. Not just in stature and size, but it's got to be like a Brock, Roman, Jacob Fatu possibly. I can see that. And somehow this all leads to that. But I think the safest way to go is have Paul come back, join up with Roman Reigns, and do the dirty at War Games, man. But either way, last night, man, what a moment. And this was right after the impromptu tag title match, so that had everybody on their feet. Whether you like the idea or not, I mean, it was entertaining. You had to put the remote down, even with Yankees and Dodgers on. But on top of that, they actually had the titles change hands. And then you went into the big storyline with the Bloodline and the resurrection of the OG Bloodline. I mean, that was after this massive impromptu tag title change. I mean, that was some of the wildest 10 minutes to finish a WWE show that I've seen in a long time. So for that, I gotta say salute to Hunter, because that's a television show. Now, I hope it all pans out. I hope it all works out, because if you don't have a plan with it all and it doesn't elevate and it just stays stagnant or it gets devalued over the weeks, well, then it was all for nothing and you lost all the momentum. But for last night, man, that was hella entertaining to finish this show. And that at least has BC looking forward in the right ways. So a lot of questionable things last night. We went over it. I feel bad for the tag division. Still needs a lot of work. The women's division needs even more. But just all the gorilla position and adding Hunter into the Randy KO thing, I thought simplistically but beautifully done. Well done, well played. LA Knight added some flair to that Game 7 matchup. And the final 10, even 20 minutes, that was wild. So, man, they didn't curl up in a ball because it was Game 1 of the World Series. They said, let's go. So I think they're going to take a hit in the ratings, obviously. Ratings will be affected, but you can never blame a sporting event or a holiday or anything like that. You can't blame presidential debates. You can't blame them. You still have to put your best foot forward and take the rating right on the chin. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes you get hit really hard with the number, the final number. But no matter what, at least they fought back. It would have been a lot less than whatever they pulled if they didn't. That's what I got for you guys, man. Thanks for joining me on this weekend. We'll be right back doing it next week, maybe before Monday Night Raw. A good preview. Maybe I can go live. That would be really cool. I still have to do some test sessions live. We're trying some new stuff. We've had some technical issues, but possibly live on Monday. Of course, the Raw review, so much to come, man. Next week, leading into Crown Jewel, is going to be massive on the channel. Subscribe, notified, smash that up. Let BC know you're fully amped. And we'll do it again real soon. BC in the unit saying check you. Or I think this is the right time with the Usos reuniting. It's the right time to say deuces, ooses. Check you.